Tonight, we'll be looking into the mind of a man who is an entrepreneur, family man, business owner, and who is heavily involved with community projects across a wide range of communities. To tell us on how he manages all these and his life, Jason Whiter joins us on Real Conversations. Welcome, Jason.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here.
Can you give us a little summary of your life to today? So where you've got, just a little summary of how you've got yourself to being a successful businessman, but also a leader in the community with a range of projects that you have started and been a part of.
The short of it all is I grew up almost from birth with a number of different medical conditions that sort of inhibited me to do a lot of the things I felt that I could do. Over time, I guess there were a number of different activities that I wanted to take on, I guess as more of a full-time event or pursue more passionately, but couldn't because I had asthma at one point in time. Then when I got diabetes, I had a few complications stemming from that, and that grew over time, and in which case I ended up losing my eyesight. That later on down the track, I needed to get a kidney and pancreas transplant to keep me alive, and even though I'm in better shape now, there's still additional complications from the diabetes, and after the transplant that still inhibit me a little bit. However, I don't let that try to stop me from doing what I want to do. In that time of growing up, I pursued a career in real estate, which has now eventuated me running my own real estate business. And I've taken part in a number of different community activities, starting from when I was a teenager, helping out at the Royal Children's Hospital with some of their peer group support programs. And then that's come along now to me helping start up a business networking group in Brimbank. I also volunteer with Vision Australia, Kidney Australia, Donate Life, and a couple of other organisations here and there. These are all sort of events and community activities that I like to take part in, I've always been passionate about. And I guess the other thing that I'm pursuing now is also my personal trainer's qualification. I've always been a big fan of sports and fitness and the science behind physical fitness and physiology. And I had actually studied this a little while back, but then I was informed I couldn't continue it because I would never be insured as someone who has a visual impairment. Anyways, after I'd gone through and spent some time getting my real estate license and all the rest of it, I felt, well, my vision impairments and other conditions hadn't held me back from achieving that goal of running my own real estate business. So let's see if we can pursue this other one in personal training and fitness. And that's where I am at the moment, in the middle of that, along with my community activities and along with running my own business and supporting my family.
So, Jason, that's a lot of setbacks and personal challenges that you've had to get through and push on through. And how did the mindset that you had going through those personal challenges and then also get your business up and running? Tell us more about that story.
I think I'm a pretty stubborn person, more or less, to say that. That's the reason behind it all. People said after I lost my eyesight that I couldn't do real estate. And rather than believe what they said, I felt that, no, there's got to be a way. I did take time off when the eyesight did go, and I thought, well, I have to find something else that's more suitable. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I didn't find anything that I enjoyed as much as being involved in the real estate side of things. And it was something that I based my career in to start with. I enjoyed doing the property management side of things. I enjoyed doing the sales side of things. I enjoyed helping people find properties. And then when the eyesight issue did come, I lost it completely. Wasn't able to drive. I looked at starting up another business in graphic design and desktop publishing. Now, funnily enough, you might think, how does someone with a visual impairment do graphic design? But there's some great adaptive technology out there that helped me do that, and alongside my wife sort of mentioning where the images were going. I did pretty well with that. However, I wasn't stimulated by it. And I just felt that I need to be back out there talking to people face to face, helping them find homes, helping them pursue their career, their home living and property ambitions. So people who want to develop property, people who want to invest, or people looking for that perfect home. I just wasn't being able to get that anywhere else. So my wife was nice enough to say that she would leave her job and support my pursuit of the career in real estate. And pretty much fair enough, when I only took one interview and I got a job at Professionals in Ascot Vale, and I was there for quite some time until my kidney failure, which was in 2010, and I pretty much had to give it up. There was no doubt about it. I mean, I needed a transplant at that point in time. I wasn't even able to stand up. I was passing out at inspections, and clients were thinking, "Oh, what's going on here?" And when I was coming to, I was talking some gibberish to them. Luckily enough, they were pretty close clients, so they found it quite amusing, and but were concerned. So when that was happening, it was definitely time to take a step back and I guess reflect and revisit or what my opportunities were. And lucky for me, I didn't have to wait long for my transplant. I had a kidney and pancreas, so I got the double transplant, and that really did save my life. So when I was recovering from that, it was one of those things that I decided I'd pursue getting my license. I studied to do my real estate license, and again, going back to the mindset side of it, it was just primarily because I was told I couldn't do it. And the worst thing to do for me is to say I can't do something, because I will do it. And that's really what it was. And I just didn't want to let my condition be an excuse of why I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve.
That's a fascinating story there, Jason. Can you tell me if you experienced any failures, within getting your business and charities set up? And if so, what did you learn from those?
That's a good question. I'm trying to look back and see what my failure was, and I'm really struggling, because to me they're not necessarily failures. They were just setbacks. It was the timing. Maybe I couldn't get my business set up as quickly as I'd like to have because of my medical issues. I'd also say that one of the setbacks I have is I can't grow my business as fast as I would like to have it grow, because, again, my medical issues, I can only take on a certain number of clients that I can service adequately. So I'm all about providing 100% quality service or more. And if I took on too much, then I know I wouldn't be able to provide that. Now, there's also that little hurdle of me thinking about employing someone, one of these people that really hold my business and other activities close to me, so I don't like to ask for help. And that's probably one of my biggest setbacks or failures, is to be able to ask for help when I need it. And I haven't learned from that yet. I still don't do it.
And Jason, how would you say you handle your balance between, life and work life and, charity life and all kinds of things? I mean, you're into fitness as well. How do you handle all of that, all those different activities at once?
Google Calendar. It makes life a lot easier when you can follow it. That, and I don't sleep a lot. I'm on steroids for my immunosuppressive therapy, and that doesn't let me sleep much. It keeps me awake and keeps me pretty alert and active. So I might get about 5 to 6 hours sleep a night. So I'll use the time that I'm awake very productively. So in the morning, when the children are still sleeping and my wife's still asleep, I'll use that time to study. Then I'll have some time with the children at breakfast. And then after that, I'll start focusing on my business, go to the gym. And then we have a bit more family time late in the afternoon, evenings. And also probably later on in the evenings, I'll concentrate on what I can do my community activities, or I schedule some time in throughout the week to take part in those community activities.
What type of community projects are you involved with?
So currently I'm one of the founding members of the Brimbank Business Association. There's 5 of us there, and they've been started up. Well, the 5 of us came together with the idea that we want to help grow and support the economy in Brimbank through its business, through its business and its business owners. We noted that there was a bit of there's good support for those that have the shop fronts and they're in the retail side of things, but there's a number of businesses that fall outside that really don't have the coverage or support at this stage, or that's what we've found. So our aim was to provide networking opportunities for these business owners so they could help grow their business, help to even establish new businesses and the likes of that. Probably what I'm aiming to do through that is to help those that might be in a similar condition that I am. So they might have a disability of some sort or be of a disadvantaged position in life. And I want to sort of give them some guidance or ideas as how they might be able to start their own business or obtain gainful employment within the community and other things too. So that might be just people who feel like they've lost their purpose because their disability struck them down. Well, I'd like to get them or give them some, I don't know, inspiration perhaps to go out and try something, just to fulfill them, give them a bit of purpose. And one way to do that is through the Brimbank Business Association. The other way is that I take part in a lot of disability support groups and the likes of that. So blind sports and recreations, I'm trying to promote a few events through that. One that I recently had taken part in was a bodybuilding competition, which had a physically challenged division. And I got the opportunity to stand up in front of, or represent Australia in front of the world, basically at the fitness show just last weekend. So I'm hoping to use that as a bit of some awesome outreach to people that are, do have a disability or physically challenged and just don't want to get out there or feel that the world's looking down upon them, and maybe give them a bit of purpose and a bit of motivation to go out and try something. Some of the other community activities that I'm also involved in is I volunteer at Vision Australia once a week. I spend about 2 hours there, just connecting with their clients and getting feedback. I also help out with Donate Life. I help out with Kidney Australia, and I've done some work with JDR, volunteering there and promoting their Walk Secure Diabetes. I also hope to do some additional work with maybe Diabetes Victoria as well at some point down the track. And I'm sure there's going to be some opportunities to help out with blind sports and recreations and disability sports and recreations in the future as well.
Wow, that's an amazing amount of community involvement and group involvement there. In terms of the one, talked about the business one, just going back to the Brimbank business one, and I know there's some components there. You're not the president of that, you're part of that group, but do you provide like a counselling for those people that are feeling a bit low, or is it like a mentor type of program?
At this stage, we haven't done that. We've provided networking groups. So we've had networking evenings on a Thursday where people can come together and meet other business owners in the area and see if they can bounce ideas off each other. I hold a breakfast meeting on the first Monday of every month. That's more or less just a small group, so I keep it as a group of about no more than 8, where we discuss certain ideas as to, okay, what's stopping us moving forward with our business, or just it's a very casual conversation. And a lot of time we don't even talk business. Half the time we just talk about what's going on there, but it gets us people that work from home out of the office, and it also encourages them a little bit, gives them a bit more motivation. They can see other business owners, see what they're feeling. So it's not so much a mentoring program, but it is just one of those things that sort of give people a little bit of, encouragement to keep going, and if they feel like they're struggling, or just to help them find new ways of promoting their business, or looking at areas or ideas that if they're struggling in their business, they might get an idea from somebody else that helps them with their business. I used to do this in mini ponds quite a bit. That's where I initially started. I had a small networking group there called Entrepreneurs Round Table, and we did the same sort of thing. We had little groups come together where we would be, we'll set up accountability partners, we'll see how we're going at the end of each week, and pretty much sort of just encourage each other not to stop pushing forward with the business. And my my experience being in sales and promotion and those sort of tasks, I always share some tips and ideas along those side, and I would always be struggling in the admin side. It's not my favourite thing at all. So I got a few good key tips about how I could improve my office administration tasks. So it worked well. We worked the idea sharing, but again, it wasn't really a mentoring service. I do have a business mentor through the small business mentoring service, which is part of Business Victoria, and I went for a couple of mentors before I found this one, and yeah, it was the one that really worked for me. And I hope to one day emulate that through our Brimbank Business Association, if that's something where the rest of the team want to head.
That is a fascinating story there, Jason. I mean, being a part of so many groups, I'm guessing you wouldn't really have too much time to, just for fun or entertainment, or do you actually do, certain things to outside of work, I should say. What can you tell me about, when you're not working, what do you do?
Well, the thing is, what I do in my work is my entertainment. That's what I love to do. So it's combining the two anyway. So I love studying the property market. That is part of my entertainment. I enjoy doing that. Studying my personal trainer's qualification now, as I mentioned, I love the science behind that. So reading up about all the different diets and all the different type of research that goes into muscle development and neuroscience. Again, that's another hobby of mine, is neuroscience and specifically what would I call it? I say, well, pretty much any science. I mean, I have yet to find a field of science I don't like, and they all seem to come around somehow to a different field when I'm looking into one. But it's just, yeah, I think with the physiology side of things, that's again another sort of hobby of mine. I'm not a huge TV fan, but when I do watch TV, it's usually NFL, so I do spend a bit of time on a Monday morning watching the football. And again, that's a family activity because my daughter and son both love it, and my wife loves it too. So again, spending time with the family and going out on family activities. So going to the park or taking the kids swimming, those sort of things. They're all what I find entertaining. So that's sort of outside work what I'd be doing. I guess you could call going to the gym on a daily basis also something that is outside of work. Although I do tend to do a bit of work whilst I'm at the gym as well, taking calls in between sets. But yeah, it's a combination. Everything sort of combines into one.
I want to ask you a bit more about the bodybuilding. So I've dabbled in that long ago, but so what sort of training schedule do you do? Are you trying to grow muscle? Are you just trying to be fit? What kind of schedule at the gym do you do?
Well, I go about 5 or 6 days a week. I generally train upper, lower, or I'll do a push-pull leg type workout. So for those who don't know, I would train chest, shoulders, and triceps one day, back, biceps the other day, and then I'll do the legs on another day separate. And I'll probably throw some extra arm work in there if I need it as well. My current workout is pretty much just trying to hit as many muscles at once, multiple times a week. And again, with my condition, I struggle to put on muscle mass or any sort of weight. My diet's pretty restricted. I can only eat I have to eat slowly, so it's very hard to get in the amount of calories that I would require. And if I do have too many calories, then my blood sugar levels go a bit crazy. Since my transplant, I've gone the opposite. So instead of having to take insulin to keep my sugars at a regular rate, I've got to be careful because they do tend to drop a bit low after I eat. So it's one of those things I've just got to pace it out, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's... Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, can you tell us a bit more about the competition that you're involved with?
Fantastic. Bradley, can we get you closer now to Jason? Coming through. And just turn into there. Perfect. So we'll do our best, what pose I'll do. So we'll get them both to do a front double bicep. Oh, actually, they go there. They do it. Front double bicep, boys. Can we do a side chest pose? Fantastic. What about your tricep? Come on, let's show those tricep. Strike. Alright, I reckon we're going to see your back now. Let's turn around, facing the back. We're going to do a rear double bicep. Ready? And strike. Fantastic, guys. All right, turn in and around to the front. We'll try it. What about some abs? We're going to show the abs. And strike. Fantastic, boys. Yeah, But let's. I haven't teed this up, so we'll just play it by ear. We'll just ask the guys about their story. Jason, if you want to just explain your story.
Sure. I'm a diabetic, or ex-diabetic I should say, who has lost his eyesight, lost most of my nerve, conductivity from my body, so autonomic and peripheral, so I can't feel a lot. Probably about 9 years ago I underwent a kidney and pancreas transplant because of kidney failure. And since then, reality of life has come back a little bit. And bodybuilding has been part of my dream when I was younger. Unfortunately, my health issues resulted that I couldn't proceed with it. And now that my health's a lot better, I've decided to get back into it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, the bodybuilding competition I'm involved in is I Compete Natural, or ICN. To give a bit of a backstory to it, about 20 years ago, I was in very good shape and probably in good enough shape to start entering competitions, either competitive bodybuilding or powerlifting. However, just probably about 6 months prior to looking further into it, my blood pressure or my kidneys started to slowly give way, and that's when I had to give up my training as heavily as I could have. And I lost a lot of weight. Probably in a matter of a couple of months, I think I lost about 15 kilos. And that was pure muscle mass. So that just basically shredded off me. And then, so that did put any sort of competing on the back burner, considering I couldn't train as the way I wanted to and the likes of that. Then after my operation, I gave myself some time to recover. I've been training probably infrequently for about 6 years after that, just because I've been trying to monitor the health after that, just seeing what I can and can't do and not over push myself. And then about 2 years ago, a guy from the gym, my trainer at the gym, he mentioned that there's he mentioned I Compete Natural and that they're looking at introducing a physically challenged division. So I looked further into that, and it turned out that they were going to introduce it or bring it in this year. So it happened in September this year. I competed in the Ballarat and Eureka competition, which was in Ballarat, and I was there with another fine gentleman named Bradley. He's in a wheelchair, and he was very inspirational to his story. And after doing that, that then led to me being able to compete in the ICN World Competition, which was held last weekend at the Melbourne Convention Centre. And that turned out to be a very, very exciting experience, something I've definitely been looking forward to doing. And although I wasn't able to enter the original division I wanted to, I still got to enter a division that allowed me to, pose off in front of a good audience.
How many competitors in the competition in your division?
At the moment in my division, there was only three. There was Bradley, who was in the wheelchair, then there was myself and a guy named Andy Harris. And again, he's got another amazing story about overcoming adversity. In fact, I've read about him prior to doing it, and he was one of my inspirations, and it was just a magnificent opportunity to get to meet him. I mean, I was very, very honoured and humbled to be up against both of those two people. It was just, it was a remarkable experience. And this is, again, something I wouldn't mind trying to do, is promote a bit more awareness about the physically challenged bodybuilding division, and encourage anyone to come along, because it's such a way to motivate yourself and to give yourself that fulfillment if you're looking for something and you are physically challenged.
Yeah. Now, Jason, you mentioned that mentorship seems to be quite an important thing for you there. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What kind of role did it play in your life? And, did it shape how you think today? Or, can you just tell us a little bit more about mentorship and what you would say to other people that are looking for mentors at the moment?
Yeah, look, I've had a number of mentors over time, obviously. My biggest mentor was my grandfather. He's probably my greatest role model. I just looked at what he'd done. He was basically a career veteran, and he fought in two wars, so he fought in World War II and Vietnam War, and in between that he was still based with in the services. So he's seen quite a bit. He didn't really tell much stories in the way of combat, but he used to tell a lot of other stories. And he was always a caring and giving person, so he was always giving to other people. It didn't matter who they were. He might have not even known somebody, but he would leave the door open at the front house or give them somewhere to stay for a night. He was that type of guy, and it just, that was the guy I looked up to, the guy I wanted to be. I wanted to be able to help people like he did. He was never afraid. He would always stand up for someone, or if he felt that someone was right, he would get in there and defend him if he needed to, always championing the cause. And like I said, he never really talked about his time serving, but I did hear some stories when I went to some of his reunion parties. Some of the people he, I guess, fought alongside told some very interesting stories about what he'd done and how he'd managed to more or less save their lives and things like that. So I've always lived up to that. So that was one person that, through life gave me some mentoring. Then there was my employees. So a couple of real estate employees that I worked with really gave me some good advice over time, and just how to keep pushing through it. In fact, I remember one of my bosses at the professionals in Mill Park. I was struggling one time, and I just almost felt like giving it in, because I had a headache with a few tenants that I had that I was looking after with their properties, and I was ready to give it up. I was just that angry and frustrated. He just turned around and said to me, "Look, if you're just going to do it, just kick ass and do it. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let these people stop you. Don't let headaches stop you. If it's what you want to do, just keep doing it. Otherwise, the door's there." But, and he just said, "But I don't see you wanting the door. I see you wanting to go for it." And that was just one thing he said that sort of like stuck with me now. And over time, I guess there's always these short sayings or small sayings that people have said to me that have stuck with me and gave me some guidance and some mentoring. I've had some great words and feedback from my mentor from the Small Business Mentoring Service. He's guided me with my business, and more so with just things in my personal life as well. So he's been very good in that sense. And I think that if I was to say to anybody to look for someone to mentor, or for someone that can be a mentor for you, because it always helps, and someone that you might want to emulate as well. It doesn't hurt to ask someone if you can follow them for a couple of days or a couple of hours, or even just reading their biography can be a good guidance to mentoring.
Now, you've also, what I wanted to touch on, you have displayed a lot of obviously hard work, dedication, persistence, especially through hard times. What would you say to other people with or without, disabilities or any setbacks, such as yours, let's say, that are unhappy with their jobs or lives in general? and want to change their lives, what kind of tips would you or advice would you give to them?
Well, again, I've not been able to come from any sort of professional thing. It's just my opinion. The way I deal with things in life is that if I know something's not going the way I want it or not going in the direction I want it, I'll maybe look at it for about 5 seconds and just say, okay, it's not happening. I'm just going to go to the next thing. So I'm not one to look at what could go wrong or the fear of it. I don't let the fear overcome me. I just take action. So I might say, well, this is not going where I want it to go, so I'm going to move over and try it a different way now. And I generally keep persisting. So the idea is if you're not happy with something, then you've got to look at what needs to change so that you become happy with it. Now, it might be you, it might be something else. I pretty much generally think that most of what makes me happy is within my control. And if it's outside my control, then I know I learn that, well, I can't do anything about that, so I need to either adjust, adapt, or find another means of happiness through it. Look, and sometimes it can be letting go of things that you think you love, or things that you think are really important to you, but they might not be. But again, that's just me. It's my own opinion of how I would go about it. I do understand for a lot of people it can be hard, or it could be a big challenge to say, well, I want to change my life, but I'm just too scared to, because what if I do change it and it turns out worse than what it was before? But all I can say is, what if you do change it and it changes for the better?
Jason, what's your view of today's younger generations and how resilient they are when they're facing adversity?
I think that's a bit mixed. I find a lot of young people can be quite driven and willing to give it a hard go, and then there are some that just expect everything to be given to them. And so I see the mix. I think it's pretty even there. I think a lot of us, we are looking for quick, fast fixes. The younger generation, obviously being very savvy with social media and the internet and all the rest of it, they pretty much feel that they have the answers at their fingertips, and they probably do. But in saying that, I think that when real challenges do hit them, they find it harder to overcome, or they find that they don't have the experience, or the answers aren't always there in Google. And when that hits, that can hit them pretty hard. I can't say I've had enough experience with the younger generation to say for sure, but what I have noticed is those that are younger trying to start out on businesses, they do tend to leap without putting a lot of thought into it, and then end up going back to a job a lot sooner than, say, someone my own age who's had a bit more experience in the business world. I'm not saying that everyone's like that. I've seen some, and we've probably heard some very incredible stories of people who are young doing quite good things in business and in their life. But I think that in all, that there's a bit of a lack of experience. Their experience seems to come from Google, like I said, or internet searches. But when it comes to positivity, I think it's the same as with anybody. It's a tough call to answer that one, because those who are older have gone through a lot more roller coaster rides, and they might lose their positivity easier than someone who's young, who's maybe only faced one or two setbacks and still has that the drive to keep pushing forward.
Do you think it could actually set you back to believe that you have the answers to everything just on your phone? Do you think it's actually damaging to people, or is it actually a beneficial thing?
A bit of both there, I think. I think it can. I think if you can apply the answer you've got from online, and as long as it's a reliable source, then I think it can be beneficial. I think that if we take too much for granted that we do read, and we try something and then it becomes detrimental, that's when it can be a problem. I mean, there's nothing like a lived experience so nothing compares to having a lived experience as opposed to reading about it on the internet. I mean, if you haven't really gone through it, it's hard to know how it's going to make you feel. So you can get all this advice from the internet, you can get all this advice even from people, but until you've applied it and then seen how it's worked for you, um, you you're just not going to know. And there's no advice that works exactly the same for everybody. Or at least that's what I believe. I think it needs to be adapted to that person. That person needs to take on what they've been given and then try the best they can to make it work for them.
And how would you actually know what a reliable source of information is? I mean, there seems to be a lot of gurus of everything, experts in everything online and YouTube, and I mean, it seems to be much harder to figure out who's actually legit and who's just trying to sell you something.
That's so true, and it is very hard to find that these days. I struggle all the time. I'm always constantly reading articles on real estate and about these investment people that say do this, do that, and put money here, put money there. And I look at it and I think, okay, the first thing I ask myself is there a vested interest in someone wanting to buy a property from that person? Are they going to get kickbacks from it? Always ask questions. For me, anyway, I'm always pessimistic about certain things, so I would ask questions a lot, and then even once you've got the answer and they all sound good, you're still not 100% guarantee. I've invested some money into certain things that sounded very legitimate and looked good, and even on paper sounded good and had good recommendations, but it turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. But you just don't know. I even checked it in with Consumer Affairs and ACCC, and they couldn't tell me. They said there was nothing. So I did all the things I possibly could to see if it was legitimate, but it still fell through a little bit. So it is a tough call. I mean, all I can say is really do your homework, and if your gut says don't do it, then it's probably not the right thing to do. And that's with anything, whether it be in the real estate side of things or when I'm reading up about these science articles in my sports physiology science and all the rest of it. You don't necessarily know what's going to work. It's I read a lot about the type of training techniques I should be doing, so I'll actually apply them. I'll read it, I'll apply it for a few months and see have I got the gains or have I got the results that I've been after. And then if it doesn't work, then I've wasted 3 months, but I've got an answer to say this is not going to work for me, so I can push back and try something else. It's time consuming, and unfortunately, with information overload these days, we can be hit with that problem. We just don't know what to use and what not to use.
Thank you for your time tonight. Most appreciated. Thanks for joining us at Real Conversations.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leon. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, we'd love to have you on again at some point. So yeah, I'm sure we can work something out.
Absolutely. If ever you got a controversial topic coming up, let me know. I love talking controversy and conspiracy theories, so happy to chat about that.
Sounds good.
That'll be good. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, and we'll speak soon. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for your time.